Yo, man. Welcome back, y'all. This is the last part of the series of the documentary. This is the last part of this documentary. This is part 6. Yeah, part 6. So this part 6 is the last one. Let's get into it.
Saying that it must have given him a headache because he knows that he looked at that clip and that Pab's head looked fake. This referring to the gruesome, uncensored footage of the murder that showed Pab's fatal injuries. To be honest, Durk kind of makes a mockery of his religion in this song, and I've got to call it out. Because at one point he raps about how one of his young'uns chases his ops around before going to prayer, and just making a prayer from the Quran the title of a track that's all about killing people and making fun of them, pretty blasphemous if you ask me, to be honest. There's actually one very strange bar where Durk says that Chief Wook has seen him knock someone's mother down, and whilst this could be an innocent reference to Durk hooking up with his ops baby mama, because he's talking so hot on these songs, there's part of me that feels like,
yeah, man. Like I said in part 5, this little Pab, saying stuff, the beef between the OTF crew and ProKT, the NBA YoungBoy crew, shouldn't have happened. I feel like they could have got on the phone, squashed the beef, and it could have been over. All these stuff that 2 people lost their life, this should not have happened. If they would have just squashed the beef, maybe called on the phone, just squashed the beef, and this would have never happened. You know what I'm saying?
like it could be referring to something much worse. It almost made me think back to that murder case on that woman, Shanita Lawrence, that was killed. Anyway, Durk paints a picture of how he vets shooters in his neighborhood, asking members who their top killer is and offering to check their temperature and vet their body count. He rapped about an off being left leaking with shots to their torso, and he goes on to reference OTF Didi, saying that when he beats his murder, he's going to be even more dangerous. Durk would end the song with more brutal lyrics referring to ops being murdered, saying how somebody would still be alive right now if someone else got it, which seems to me to be a clever way of saying that the wrong person got killed, but Durk doesn't care either way, and ending with a final bar saying that he's seen his shooter hold his breath for 8 minutes and warning his ops that that's how long they're willing to chase them for. Track 10 on Almost Healed is the most brutal track, War About It, and in the song, Durk appears to get 21 Savage in on the action too, mercilessly dissing Quando and mocking his reaction to Pab's death, screaming no on the hook of the song. And Durk goes on to break down his apparent strategy of grooming new shooters from his block, rapping that he sends his shooters money and clarifying that it's not for promotion for his album and that he doesn't expect people to shoot for him without paying them, even saying that he brings his trusted shooters around his family and children and gives them power before asking them to go and shoot his ops. Durk will seemingly claim to be the ringmaster of the weapons being used by his gang, saying that he swapped guns with another block and he didn't even shoot one himself. Then, in an apparent reference to both Youngboy and Quando's videotaped reaction to Pab's death, he raps that Youngboy must have heard Quando screaming on the news and likely had to turn the sound off on the disturbing clip, and later rapping that he spends hundreds of thousands on lawyers for his people, even saying that he can't name certain things he was responsible for, but then saying he makes his mother proud, perhaps a reference to avenging his brother's death, even appearing to reference.
You see how they're talking about how they don't like snitches, this and that, but they literally go in the booth, in the studio, rap about what they did, and they release it in the lyrics. Then they go on the social media, posting that, boom, 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 get back for this. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Oh, I heard them not talk about. If they're talking about they don't like snitching, they're pretty much snitch themselves because they're self-snitching on themselves. So that makes you a snitch because you're self. You know what I'm saying?
Lil Pab not being in his shoes at the time of the murder, saying that one of his shooters bragged about leaving an op outside in their socks. A truly disturbing lyric when you remember that's exactly what people saw on the news. Even 21 Savage would rub the tragedy in Quando's face on this song, starting his verse with the heartless bar, knock 'em all down like dominoes, later saying he's OTF for life, and seemingly saying to Durk that if he catches a murder, don't even tell him about it, as well as referencing following ops closely in traffic. The next track had the ominous title You Got 'Em, and on it, Durk raps how he gets his shooters in a car and tells them to spin repeatedly, and that sometimes it results in accidents, perhaps a reference to the wrong person being killed. Later, he says that he gets a certain reaction and that he keeps his murderers happy. On the next song, Grandson, a banger with Kodak Black that's a tribute to King Von, with Kodak boldly saying that he's a rapper and a killer, just like Von, Durk would rap on the hook that he will shoot somebody and feel like Von afterwards, and in his verse he raps about keeping his shooters fed. On the next song, 300 Euros, Durk seems to predict his own future, rapping that he has to watch what he says in songs or he'll be doing decades in prison like his father, and saying that they do people dirty in the streets and that he hopes he doesn't get killed as gruesomely as his enemies did, and how his shooters don't need to dress well and can still kill people wearing their Crocs. Durk had a bar that appeared to aim at Quando Rondo again, saying how his friend is dead and he can't do shows, and Durk would then say a very ironic line that he doesn't tell his shooters to be careful because they don't slide to get caught, as well as saying that somebody froze when a shooter pulled up with a micro Drake and that his ops can't play with him because he has money and will catch them. Durk then seems to clap back at NBA Youngboy with a lyric where he refers to himself as Murder Man or Merc, then backtracking saying they call him nothing because he's getting watched. This is clearly a shot at Youngboy. As I broke down in my 6-hour video on him, he often alludes to having used his money to have people killed.
I'm being so serious. This documentary right here is probably one of the best documentaries that Traveler Rose has produced. Like, I'm not even lying, y'all. Like, that's like one of the best documentaries I feel like he put out. Wait, hold on. But I do believe that's like the best like documentary he released, y'all. I'm not even lying. Like, hold on, y'all. Like, this documentary right here was fire. 6 hours. If y'all haven't seen my reaction on this, go look at it in the playlist. You'll see it.
In his gang war in Baton Rouge, with Youngboy frequently referring to himself as Murder Man in numerous songs. On track 14, Durk would rap about somebody's friend dying because they jumped in front of the firing line and saved the target's life, another reference to Quando and Pab, with Durk going on to reference Quando's reaction, saying they laughed when Von died, but when Pab died, Quando turned into a crybaby, and ending his final verse with another direct reference to the death of Pab in California.
He did All My Life and then goes to do a song like this, talking about go straight back to what they did in the streets.
Rapping that Rob 49 saw that he had 4 guns in his house in LA and that California has real killers there. On the next track, B12, Durk would start off with a playful but real bar saying that when people catch murder cases they call Meek Mill since he managed to get out of his probation. Then Durk would strangely say that he doesn't put his name on hits and seemingly denying that his crew kill people, saying why you bragging, they didn't kill anyone, before then backtracking and saying someone hopped out on feet like they're out of gas. Yet another slick double entendre that also hinted towards the gas station being the location for these murders committed on foot. Later in the track, Durk would refer to using cash to pay for an unnamed service while his card is on file, going on to say that he gave someone chances and pounds of dope to do something, but they still haven't done it. And now the cops are watching, he has to bury his desires and not finish the job, but later rapping that his budget for killings is $2 million and that his killers are actively out looking to collect the bounties. With this probably having a double meaning, referring to the bond money that he puts down if his killers get caught to get them right back on the street sliding again. Durk following that up with a line about how he got someone's location but knows they're not home, and going on to rap that they got who they wanted, so it's over now, and bragging that he's paid for a couple of trials for his members. Later, on a collab track with Juice WRLD, Durk has a strange change of heart, suddenly saying that he hates the trolling they do when you die. Then, in another violent song with a delightful title, Belt 2, Durk would rap openly about being at the private jet airport with a killer, and later saying that he feels he always has to react to what he sees on the internet. Then there's another line with a double meaning, as Durk says that he tried to go pop star but had to F up the streets, referring to both evolving his musical style and his inability to focus on his music career, distracted by the gang politics. The penultimate track on the project would be the Morgan Wallen assisted pop song, Stand By Me. But again, it's another emotional song that has a lot of foreshadowing of what was to come for Durk, as Durk seemingly raps and sings ambiguously with Morgan Wallen on the theme of asking if a friend or woman would stand by them in hard times. For example, if they lost everything, or caught a federal case for murder for hire. The song is a fitting note to end on, and it lands powerfully now that we know where Durk ultimately ended up. But for now, it would be some time before Durk's alleged past would catch up with him. And going forward from this project and its massive success, Durk would do everything he could to maintain his position as a mainstream pop artist, attempting to transcend the violent image of drill music and elevate himself into high society. Before the release of Almost Healed, Durk would meet with Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, and during the subsequent elections, Durk would make a $150,000 campaign donation to future Mayor Brandon Johnson. From the outside, it looked like Durk was a million miles away from the streets and having hits planned. He continued rolling in the circles at the very top of the music industry, in August walking out Drake for his Los Angeles set of his It's All a Blur stadium tour. But behind it all, Lil Durk was living a lie. One minute he was in the halls of political power, rubbing shoulders with current and future mayors. The next, he was in the studio, surrounded by his OTF demons, making some of the most violent and incriminating music ever released. And Durk's next music project would see him yet again shining a spotlight on some of the very people allegedly.
So it's like living 2 lives, you know what I'm saying? If he really wanted to be a pop star, you know what I'm saying, and release like positive music and stuff like that, he could. But I don't think he wants to live his people behind and the OTF crew behind. If he really wants to do pop music, then he has to be by himself doing that, but I don't think he would, you know what I'm saying?
Orchestrating murders for him. November the 17th, 2023, Durk and OTF released another group album, Nightmares in the Trenches, and it would seem that even the album cover itself had a hidden message of self-snitching on it, a label saying that this disc contains raw accounts of activities that occurred in various areas of the world. It doesn't say these are fictional stories or that the guns are props. This is hinting that this is a raw and a real explanation of things that actually happened. And if you ask me, the part about all areas of the world is another covert hint towards that murder happening in California, rather than saying something like these are stories about the streets of Chicago. On the project, Durk would rap about Dee Dee beating his body with witnesses testifying. Durk would shout out one rap YouTuber that he respects, 1090 Jake, saying that he shows his videos about people being snitched onto his people and warning people against trolling him and acting like OTF are down on the gang. Later on the song Posted At with Kokilla and Bezu, Bezu would ironically diss OTF accidentally, saying that you're not a real killer if you catch an accidental body, with Kokilla later rapping how they take ops souls and how he smokes dead ops with Dee Dee. Later on, Bezu would claim to have made the score 3-0, inferring that he has 3 bodies, saying that he beat them because he doesn't leave a witness. Kokilla would rap about people getting shot, their friends dying, and crying about it. Then on the Durk solo track Them Ones, he predicts his future again, saying that the judge might put a RICO case on him because of the people he's around, with Durk later bragging that people are mad that his music career is going so well since he's promoting revenge. Durk would...
You see? And now look what he's locked up for, murder to hire. That might try to put a RICO on them, on his people around him. If Durk really become a pop star, he could have been done that, Turn the Streets Away. But at the end of the day, we all know he didn't want to leave that behind. Let's be honest now. We all know he did not want to leave that behind.
Rapper Spooky Bar on the Hook, that I think is aimed at Quando too, since his career had been struggling even before the death of Von, with Durk rapping he ain't turned no more, and that Durk in contrast can't run out of money. A bar that's a lot more threatening when you remember the deadly violence that he seems to be able to buy with his money. The next track, I'm the Type, sees Durk and Chief Wook rapping with arrogance, pretty much saying that they invented murders. Durk begins his verse with a brazen line, making gun sounds and taunting his victims, saying, "You ain't think I was gonna get you, did you?" Following that up, pretty much confirming its relevance to the Pab murder, saying share locations, get up on him close, make his mental wiggle. Durk then hints at revenge, suggesting that his enemies are the type to see their friends get killed and not get revenge, unlike him, who's up late, plotting on his enemies, appearing to suggest that he's actually done this 9 times. In another line, Durk breaks down the process of having people murdered, saying that first he threatens them, then someone runs up on them and shoots, and that he's the messenger. A detail that hits different when you later learn that he was indeed using Apple iMessage to orchestrate an alleged hit. Durk even reflects on remorse, saying that after he's had someone killed, he then wonders if he's screwing up the blessing of his music career, then ending his verse recounting a conversation with God where he says that he had to do it because he caught his op slipping and moving like Durk wasn't beefing them. On the next song titled Last One, this was an interesting track that saw Doody Low expressing his frustrations at the street life, saying that the last hit his gang did he can't talk about because the feds are indicting people, and that the last hit was so brutal he can't leave his home without a gun himself now. Then appearing to reference Pab's murder, saying the last person got caught out of town and that their target didn't get hit but doesn't come outside anymore. Doody Low would also express his opinion on the YouTube and vlog space becoming full of figures from Chicago streets, with Doody saying that his ops are vloggers now, perhaps a reference to anyone from FYBJ Main, King Yella, or FBG Butter. Doody Low would even reference an infamous YouTube channel, Chicago Rarest, known for posting body cam and prison footage exposing Chicago gangsters. Doody would continue to allude to paid hits, saying that he has 20k in bounties out and saying that people got killed for dropping diss songs, and that he's laughing now that getbacks have been administered. Next, on the track F It, Durk mocks people trying to get attention off murders they didn't actually do. Durk would later say that this death is a celebration and that he knows the right way to do people, as well as saying that his shooters will cut off their ankle monitors and hop on flights without standing warrants, with Durk dropping a very subliminal line saying that you can pass the message to him to me, this ain't what you want. Now I think this is a deep bar because not only is that the name of Durk's song, but Lil Pab, many years before being allegedly killed by shooters sent by Durk, was actually a big fan of Durk's music, tweeting that Durk's This Ain't What You Want was one of his favorite songs. Durk would then reference OTF.
I'm pretty sure all of them was fans of each other's music. All of them was fans. You could realize Young Boy, Durk, Quando, all of them was fans of each other's music. Like it's crazy. It's really crazy.
Jam, saying how serious he sounds when he's on the phone and that if he tells his shooters to do something he only has to ask once. The next track, Whatever You with OTF D-Ski, would see him openly talking about the violence, saying him and OTF are with all the violence. Later rapping how it only takes 10,000 to get someone's brain removed with a bullet, and saying that when he pops out, murders take place. The project would end on a strange note, as things switched tone and Durk dropped an introspective track that would speak to his future situation. The song Smirk Carter starts with an intro from Robert Shipp, his father's co-defendant, who explains that he thought he was supposed to die in jail but he got a second chance. Durk would rap about his brother Dethan gambling with his life and losing by not having a gun with him when he was killed, and again seeming to suggest that that murder was avenged, before going on to say that someone he knows got hit with a racketeering charge despite him warning them to move differently. Clearly, no one was advising Durk not to snitch on himself. If anything, this formula was working perfectly for Durk, just like it did for his evil twin King Von. Ultimately, things were moving fast and going very well for OTF at this point, but it had now been over a year of self-incrimination, and the Lil Pab murder was likely being investigated deeply for some time. After all, it took over a year for Durk's killers to be brought to justice, but they all were eventually caught. Soon, the walls would begin closing in on Durk and his crew, but the fall of Durk was an interesting one, as coming at the end of 2024, arguably the best year of his career, it almost seemed as if the feds let Durk climb to the very top of the mountain before grabbing him and lining him up for one of the most devastating downfalls in hip-hop history. With all of the self-incrimination that Durk had done over the course of 2023.
So I'm saying, bro, it is probably, I mean, it could be over, we don't really know. We said the same thing for Young Thug and Young Thug Out. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see in the coming months. We'll see what happens, man.
It would only be a matter of time before people began to put things together, and unfortunately for Durk, on the internet, Reddit forums, and in YouTube videos, people would continue to speculate on these quite obvious crimes.
Then of course, you know what I'm saying, you got people on the internet, especially Reddit, about they damn near detected themselves. That's how some of these rappers begin locked up, because on the internet, you know what I'm saying?
I personally released a 4-hour documentary about Quando Rondo's life and the attempts to end it in 2023 that had over 4 million views before the feds officially filed charges. But I was by no means the only one making these speculations. In his February 2024 interview with DJ Vlad, FBG Butter would ask how Durk is still outside when everybody knows that he paid to have Quando killed and got Pab killed by mistake.
Who the f you know name get brought up and with actual proven facts that you done paid me some money to go kill a motherfucker. And I'd have killed the wrong motherfucker too.
Butter then, seemingly with inside knowledge at this point, months before any arrest took place, would hint towards one of Pab's shooters actually telling the police that he did it for Durk.
The police know I work for you. Cause they say Shorty flat out told they like, man, Lil Durk told me to do that shit. And he paid me to do it.
How does he know this? How does he know this? How does he know that person said, oh, Lil Durk told me to do this? How does he know? How does FBG Butter know? How does he know? I don't get that. How does he know?
Showing receipts. Like, this gave me real money to get this man gone.
Despite having an explosive start to 2024, winning that Grammy for his inspirational song All My Life, behind the scenes, it seemed that Durk was fighting his demons from the very top of the rap game. He was notably absent for a short period of time, and in June 2024, Durk revealed that he'd actually gone to rehab for an addiction to codeine and Xanax, explaining how he was living too fast and decided that he wanted to focus on his family and peace.
So we got word that you were in rehab.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I want to embrace it, you know what I'm saying? Because it helped me a lot. I won't even say it was tough at first. It was tough at first, but it ain't that tough because I really knew what I wanted. You know what I'm saying? I knew what was holding me back.
And what was that? What did you want?
I wanted better. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be a better man, a better father, a better leader, you know, so, but more action. So I got to make sure that self.
Yeah. You want to do all that, but you sitting there applying people to get knocked off and this and that. If you really want to be a better man, leave all that street stuff behind. I don't get that. Why do rappers talking about they want to be a better man, they want to be this and that, but they still doing street stuff? Like, I don't get that. If you really want to change, you got to leave that street stuff alone, because you cannot be a rapper and be a gangster or a street thug at the same time. It cannot mix and match. You're either gonna be a rapper and be a rapper, or you gonna be in the streets and be in the streets. You know what I'm saying?
It was good before, anybody else. It helped a lot, you know what I'm saying? Just thinking clearer. See, my main goal is peace, you know what I'm saying? Being with the family and staying out of bull, you know what I'm saying?
Durk would open up about feeling that his life was too fast before rehab.
Moving fast.
Moving fast.
Making excuses, you know what I'm saying? Letting the drugs take over me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, just like the codeine and everything.
Is that what it was? Was codeine?
Yeah, Xanax. But make me.
Durk would drop a song commemorating his release from rehab, being seen in a Louis Vuitton suit and a skinnier frame. The song was called Went Hollywood for a Year, and it was a Pain song with a 3-6 Mafia-inspired bridge that sounds like Durk is actually saying farewell to his beloved codeine cough syrup. In one line, Durk says that he'll give $1 million to somebody who can prove he's a snitch, and another $1 million, but then appearing to stop short of rapping, find him. As well as bragging that he has killers in his circle sharing his money and cars, and mocking someone saying that their homie's killer is still alive, but for Durk, it's been a year since revenge. It seemed that Durk was back, trying to put a brave face on things and attempting to get his career on track. The month before his arrest, Durk releases a new song and music video as a teaser for his upcoming album. The song's called Turn Up a Notch, and just over a week later, he would release yet another track, this time with an interesting title. The song was called Monitoring Me, and obviously had a theme to suggest that Durk indeed knew that the authorities were watching his every move. And it also had some very suspect lyrics where Durk says that he can't send money to his killers in his own name, and that he doesn't know if the feds are setting him up, or if people are snitching. In another line that seemed to refer to the attempt to kill Quando that resulted in Pab's death, Durk says that he wouldn't say his shooters missed their target because they were so close, as well as rapping more lines that he can use money to have people killed, then backtracking, saying that his killers will murder for his friendship, regardless of payment, as well as bragging about having seen his killers commit murder, then backtracking again, saying that he didn't see it, he just heard the shooter shout, "Get up," to the victim, and going on to say that if his enemies post their locations, his people will go there, and openly admitting that he pays for his people for more than just murders, hinting at OTF's dual role as a label and a murderous gang. Not only was the song another self-snitching anthem, but it came with a music video filmed at, you guessed it, a gas station. This was a strange time, and once again, Durk was seen to be living a double life. Clearly going into promotion mode, Durk was making major moves in the industry, but unlike his recent song release, some of what he was doing was actually positive. Durk's 32nd birthday was coming up on the 19th of October, and he was planning to make this one special, announcing his first annual birthday show at Chicago's prestigious United Center, home of the Chicago Bulls, with a
Didn't it say this got shot up or something like that? I'm pretty sure this got shot
concert
up.
capacity of 23,500 people. The show was epic, and Durk drove from the dressing room to the stage behind a literal convoy of Hellcats and Trackhawks, then performing the song with that
Oh, before he was arrested. Okay. I thought this is when they said like it was got shot at or something like that.
very name from the back of a moving pickup. It was also a star-studded affair, with Durk bringing a number of huge names in the rap game out, like Bossman D-Lo, Sexy Red, Nardo Wick, who performed Who Wants Smoke with Durk, and even Lil Baby. Another interesting move was choosing to use the event to unite with Chicago's top content creators, sharing the stage with prolific interview host DJ U and rapper turned Instagram comedian FYB J Mane, notorious for his Whoop cereal and his pushing peace movement, with Durk's acceptance of J Mane, who actually hails from 63rd and was very good friends with FBG Duck.
Now crazy that, bro. See, this is what I'll be saying. If he brought up FYB J Mane and nothing happened to him, knowing FYB J Mane was dissing his homies, bro, this could have been the same thing with FBG Duck. I promise you, this could have been the same thing with FBG Duck. If FBG Duck was alive, this could have been the same thing with FBG Duck, where he's gonna say to a Durk, they squashing the beef, they're trying to push the peace because they're in their 30s now. Why would they, you know what I'm saying? Like, this could, if he did it with FBG J Mane, you're telling me he couldn't do it with FBG Duck? Come on, bro.
As approval of his pushing peace agenda, aiming to stop the gang wars. Notably, in the name of pushing peace, at one point in the show, Durk would even put up on screen a collage of fallen gang members.
Look. If he's doing this for, you know what I'm saying, just trolling or not, but if he's for real, bro, he could, all this right here, bro, I'm trying to tell you, all this could have been avoided, bro. I'm talking about with FBG Duck. I'm talking about from Duck. If they would have pushed the piece back then in 2020, Duck could have been up here on the stage right now. I'm not even
members from both sides of the war. This was during an extended onstage speech reminiscent of Kanye's stadium shows, where he would tell the crowd that he was showing love to everyone in Chicago and telling the crowd to take a photo.
My brother J Mane one time in this man. So look, right?
You see FBG Duck.
I'm gonna do something never been done one time there, right?
I'm trying to tell you.
We gonna show love to everybody we lost in Chicago, man. So I need everybody put their phone lights out one time.
I don't know if he just doing this just because, I don't know. But all I'm saying is like, I feel like once they get older, bro, they realize all the stuff they did as a kid is just, they probably regret it and it's probably stupid because all the people they lost. And, you know what I'm saying, we sitting there taking off our own people. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy.
For everybody we lost in Chicago, you know what I'm saying? Everybody, even if your face ain't on here right here, still showing love.
The show looked absolutely lit, and I really wish that I was there, because it's kind of sad to imagine both Durk and the over 20,000 fans watching that this may very well have been Durk's last show. By this point, he was at the pinnacle of his career. With a huge catalogue of bangers, he would rap hit after hit back to back on stage to the sold-out stadium. It's a huge reminder of how much he very well may have just thrown away. But then again, despite releasing a song called Monitoring Me, Durk's situation with the law seems surprisingly good at this point. Strangely, in September, he announced that his felony record had been wiped clean of all cases, with Durk saying how he believed that everybody should get second chances at life. Seemingly, now able to travel internationally, Durk would make the most of his newfound freedom with lavish trips abroad. Durk was even invited to dinner with Sheikh Mohammed bin Maktoum Bil Juma Al Maktoum, a member of Dubai's royal family, where he received an ornate cane as a gift. And Durk also made his first ever trip to my home country, London in England, with him appearing outside freestyling in front of the iconic clock tower Big Ben and in the streets of Upmarket Knightsbridge, even attending an NFL game with UK legends of the rap game, current king of UK drill Central C, grime clash veteran Chip, and road rap pioneer turned podcast pioneer Young Spray.
Bad people, you get me? Come on, man. Bad people.
But despite the smiles, many people thought that Durk was cleaning house, knowing that bad news was just around the corner. In Durk's last IG Live, he was seen praying, perhaps asking the Lord to spare him from the consequences that may have been lurking. Also in October 2024, Rap Media would report that Durk's children had been sent on a trip to Disneyland. Perhaps this was truly an acknowledgement that their father was going to be absent for the remainder of their childhood, as the heartbreaking news would only be days away. And ultimately, on October the
Yep. It's been 2 months. It's been 2 months since he got Hopefully he gets out, but he's probably not gonna get out, or unless it might be like the Young Thug case where it takes a year or two and then he's out. So I don't know, bro. Who really knows? Who really knows for real?
On the 23rd, 2024, things would come crashing down when 5 affiliates of Lil Durk's Only the Family record label were arrested and indicted on serious charges, including conspiracy to commit murder for hire, committing murder for hire involving a death, and the use of a machine gun in a violent crime resulting in death. After the 5 members of his Only the Family crew were arrested in Chicago, it was only a matter of time before the feds would grab Durk himself. He likely knew the clock was ticking after news broke of his close OTF associates being taken off the streets. Durk would reportedly book multiple international flights in an attempt to not only get away, but also confuse the authorities and keep them guessing what his next move might be, with 3 flights all being booked to Switzerland, Dubai, and 1 private jet that was headed to Italy. Durk was in Miami in South Florida at the time, and according to an affidavit by FBI agent Sarah Corcoran, the Chicago rapper was attempting to flee to Italy before his arrest. All international flight bookings made on Durk's behalf would raise suspicions that Durk was planning to evade capture, and the feds would immediately swoop in, and then the music would finally stop. As 2 days after his 5 friends were arrested, before Durk could board that private flight to Italy, federal agents would intercept him in Broward County, Florida on October the 25th. US Marshals would apprehend him, charging him with conspiracy for allegedly arranging that hit on fellow rapper Quando Rondo. The US Attorney's Office for the Central District of California would announce the arrest of Lil Durk on charges of conspiracy to use interstate facilities in a murder-for-hire plot that resulted in a fatality.
I want to begin now with some breaking news. Rapper Lil Durk is charged in a murder-for-hire plot.
Lil Durk's real name is Durk Bank, and he is from Chicago. This is his mugshot from Florida, where he was arrested last night and is being held without bond. This comes only hours after 5 people associated with his music business were also accused in taking part in that murder-for-hire plot. Now, the plot targeted rapper Quando Rondo's cousin, who was killed in 2022. Investigators believe it was retaliation for the earlier murder of Chicago.
The thing is, what Ebony G. Butter said about the person, like he knew or whatever, this told the cops that Lil Durk told him to do it, then, you know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure they do have some, I don't know, who we understand. We don't really know until the details and stuff starts coming out probably next year. I don't know, probably not even January, probably next year when they do it, you know what I'm saying?
Chicago rapper King Von.
Local rapper and Grammy winner Lil Durk is being held behind bars in South Florida, charged in a murder-for-hire plot back in 2022.
The FBI says he was arrested while trying to flee the country. Investigators believe Lil Durk put out a hit on another rapper, Quando Rondo, in retaliation for the earlier murder of Chicago rapper King Von. Rondo's cousin also died in a shooting at a Los Angeles gas station caught on camera. Several of Lil Durk's associates have also been arrested in connection with this same same plot.
The superseding indictment filed against Lil Durk himself would paint a detailed and damning picture of OTF as a criminal enterprise that was allegedly led and directed by Lil Durk himself. According to prosecutors, OTF operated not just as a music collective, but also as a violent organization that was engaged in murder, assault, and intimidation to maintain its dominance in the Chicago and broader music scene. The indictment alleges in black and white that Durk placed a bounty on Quando Rondo, promising financial rewards and lucrative opportunities within OTF to anyone who carried out the killing, and confirming that the murder of Pab was indeed revenge for the killing of King Von. Not only that, but this music-turned-murder enterprise had been incredibly sloppy in their actions, as the indictment would reveal an alleged text exchange where Durk would reportedly advise his shooters not to book no flights under no names involved with him. A tragic exchange suggesting that he was actively trying to cover his tracks and that his shooters had been incredibly cheap and reckless. And soon, Durk's situation would surpass Diddy's as the most trending topic in the rap media. Not only that, but those close to him would begin to find themselves under the magnifying glass too. In the aftermath of Durk's arrest, eyebrows began to raise about his ability to potentially influence the justice system and politics, with questions being asked about whether the mayor of Chicago would be giving back a $150K donation. But most importantly, all eyes would be on those in the indictment, both named and unnamed, as people would begin to uncover the dark, violent backstories of the perpetrators, as well as intensely speculating on exactly who might have been the informant and who might have been the connection in California who told Durk and his demons to fly out and kill Quando. The first of the OTF crew in this indictment who seems to have been heavily involved in planning and executing Quando Rondo's hit was Kavon London Grant, aka OTF Vonnie. OTF Vonnie is a key figure in OTF's inner circle for years, with his loyalty and presence around Lil Durk and King Von being well documented. Vonnie is also King Von's cousin and played a significant role in Lil Durk's operations as his business manager. Back in July 2019, Vonnie would be spotted with Durk and Von at the iconic Icebox jewelry store.
Can I get an OTF chain, man?
The way things are looking this week,
Yeah. Woo!
not gonna happen.
A1, right? A1, right? A1, right?
And by early 2020, he would once again be seen accompanying King Von as Von worked on designing and purchasing custom O-block chains that many believe were actually given out as trophies to celebrate the successful murder plot on FBG Duck.
Slimmer overall or just one?
Yeah,
right.
And I like the, you see how the leaves letters, I like them kind of like
graffiti style.
Just like, check this out.
Bro, they getting custom-made O-block chains, and you complete the mission, you get a chain. Bro, you know how crazy that is? You complete the mission, you get an O-block chain. Now most of them for the FBG Duck hit.
That's what I see.
He's arrested.
Like the O, like a, I don't know, like longer instead of wider. Like, see, that's kind of wide.
I appreciate you guys once again. Thank you so much.
Definitely.
Hey, thank you, bro. All right, definitely.
Yeah, Scally, big dog.
I don't jig it off.
Yeah.
So that's the only way I would do
Your
it.
wrist big. Yeah, a little wrist. Me, it look like a big watch.
Since you're not picking these up today, I'm gonna send you a sample image of all of them.
All right, I'm texting to you anyway. We're gonna text everything I write, so.
Well, I can text this back to you.
Yeah.
Following King Von's death in late 2020, Vonnie's proximity to Lil Durk only grew, and by September 2021, he was back at Icebox, this time with Durk acting as a negotiator during a major jewelry purchase. In footage from the store, Vonnie can be seen haggling prices on Durk's behalf and carrying a massive stack of cash for the transactions.
3 1/4 and 2 1/4. 2 and 2.75. 2 3/4. 3 1/4, 2 3/4. That's about 15% difference. How much would it be? That's what he had before. It's the old one is exactly the same size. It's just so how big? It's 4.5. You can say 2. It's 3 and he didn't like this because of the color. Oh my God. Appreciate it.
Bro.
Chief.
Man, it's my birthday, man.
You ain't even know. You ain't even know I had.
No, that's how it goes. That's how they. Yeah, man, birthday behavior, man.
I don't get why people walk around with that much money. I mean, if they in the streets, you know what I'm saying, you gotta deal with cash. You can't do it, you know what I'm saying, because you can't trace cash, you know what I'm saying?
It's like you were the Tom Hagen. Watch. The Godfather. You're Tom Hagen.
This moment highlighted not only his close relationship with Durk, but also the level of trust that Durk was placing in him, with Vonnie seemingly handling significant amounts of money and playing a critical role behind the scenes for OTF. Another OTF member implicated in the paperwork is DeAndre Wilson, aka OTF Didi, or D-Ski, aka Big Threat. Didi had been involved in multiple violent altercations over the years, with him even managing to beat a murder case in 2023 in regards to a 2014 murder that took place in Chicago. But this wasn't just any murder, but the alleged get-back for the murder of Tay-Ski, whom Tay-Town is named after, something which would have made Didi a very respected member within Tay-Town. Other co-conspirators include Keith Jones, aka Flakka. According to unverified sources, Flakka himself beat a murder case back in 2011 after allegedly being acquitted for the murder of Big Baby from Hula Gang, an almighty P Stone set based in Sunnyside or Magnolia that has a long-standing rivalry with the Gangster Disciples in Rogers Park and Uptown. The gang is named in honor of fallen member High C, preserving his legacy within its ranks. Then there's David Brian Lindsay, aka Brown Eyes, who's also named as a co-conspirator on the indictment, and Asa Houston, aka OTF Boogie. However, along with Durk, there still remains two significant question marks, as two unnamed co-conspirators had their identities withheld by the feds on the indictment, leading many to believe that these individuals have perhaps turned informant. There's been rampant speculation on the potential identity of co-conspirator number 4, particularly LA rapper and rising podcast and content star Brickbait, mainly due to him being one of the first people that had said that Durk slid for Von.
For Von, right? Yeah. They say you can't say that no more. You can't say that no more.
Oh, because of FVG Cash?
Nah, because Lil Pop.
Now, Brick has made numerous references to the crime in music, but in my honest opinion, there's really been no solid evidence provided to prove that he is actually the person that lined up Quando Rondo, just rampant speculation. In fact, Brick has talked about this case with so much openness and confidence, I personally believe that he was simply using the false allegations as fuel to boost his career, and it seemed to work. In fact, there's actually an alternative theory floating around the internet that the actual person who set up the murder is a lesser-known LA gang member by the name of TS from a set called Gutter Ave, with Reddit posts claiming that him and his friend had a personal vendetta against Quando after Quando refused to do a song with them. However, once again, at this stage, this is all speculation, and it's highly possible that this person's identity may never be revealed to the public, and it could be somebody that we have absolutely no idea about. The other person who people have speculated may have been informing the authorities is co-conspirator number 2, who's actually one of the shooters. There's been intense speculation on social media that this person is in fact a beloved member of Durk's crew by the name of OTF Jam, someone who Durk frequently rapped about, saying that Jam vets killers for his crew, along with one rather suspicious line where Durk points out that Jam is always very serious when they talk on the phone. Well, real name Casey Hester, OTF Jam was once considered a rising star within Durk's Only the Family label. In 2010, Jam was convicted of a shooting, being sentenced to a minimum of 12 years in prison for attempted murder, and he would complete his jail term in February 2022. Lil Durk would post a picture of the stack that he had for OTF Jam as soon as he got out, with some Reddit Sherlocks counting and deducing it was over $250,000. In an interview in May 2023, Jam himself would verify that Lil Durk had taken care of him, giving him over $50,000 when he got released.
Because he's super solid, bro. Like a lot of, like, you know what I'm saying? He said, Jam, get out that jam, I'll give him 50. He ain't got to ask again, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? He ain't got to ask shit, bro. He said he gave you 50, bro. You know what I'm saying? Fact.
Hey, man, I mean, he could be the snitch. Do we really know? We don't really know. They're probably not gonna really to snitch or not. Let's be honest.
But so, can you tell us how much he gave you, or you don't want to even?
No, we ain't gotta get into all that. But bro made sure he made a way for me to be straight. Like he saying, gotta ask him, you know, like crib, car, all that. They able to take care of anything I need to take care of, period. Like, it's still up.
This is why people were surprised that when a year later, he would become a focal point in reports suggesting that he may have cooperated with the authorities against Lil Durk. Jam even had his very own track on the highly incriminating OTF mixtape, Loyal Bros 2, released just months after the murder of Pab, a song ironically called Federal Freestyle, with lyrics where Jam rapped solo, admonishing others for snitching and asking suspicious questions. After Durk's indictment suggested a member of OTF had been cooperating with the feds by wearing a wire for the span of 2 years, Jam's snitching allegations would surface on various media platforms, and adding to the speculation, a photo would be posted on social media appearing to depict Jam dining on fast food whilst reportedly cooperating with the feds in the case. This photo, shared by DJ Academics, shows Jam glancing at a security camera while eating, prompting captions like "Bro really snitched on Durk for McDonald's." However, it would later turn out that this image was a AI-generated fake, but that didn't stop the speculation. And the next day, on October the 28th, 2024, internet personality Wack 100 would support the reports that OTF Jam had indeed cooperated, explaining the details in a Vlad TV interview. Wack would go on to explain that although Jam served his whole 12-year sentence, he would get a gun charge that resulted in him wearing a wire for 2 years.
There's a guy named OTF Jam.
That was wired.
Very ironic name.
Jam
now
got
he
him
put
in
everyone in a jam.
He had 12 years.
12
got
years?
out, interviewed, said he kept it real, brought him cars, gave him 50,000.
Right.
This. Made mention that ain't no smut on his name. He ain't never been a rat. Caught a gun case, but eventually he flipped.
Yep.
He got put in the jam, and now he's...
Right. OTF Jam did 12 years for attempted murder back, I guess around 2010. He got out in 2022, right around the same time of the Quando situation. And he allegedly had been wearing a wire for the last 2 years.
From 22 to 24.
Yeah.
So he immediately got caught up?
Yes.
Then, on October the 30th, footage would circulate on the internet, allegedly showing an uncomfortable-looking OTF Jam, footage which people believed showed him wearing a wire near Lil Durk. The viral footage would show a nervous Jam looking anxious around Durk, with many alleging that Jam was looking very uncomfortable, triggering suspicions that at this point he was recording. But there's no proof of that.
Check on your man. I heard you got here to this area. Yeah. Ain't gonna lie, man. Hey, when I was growing up, I never happened to be an architect. Metro! He slipped me over that roll over arm mark. My dad really found me with a cast. So I lift my shit up. I'm like, man, this thing booming, man. He laughed. He ain't do that. I say, slow. In case trying to tell him. I ain't know that.
I mean, you never know. He could have. I mean, he could be wearing a wire. We don't know. He could be wearing a wire. He really could be. He really could be. You know what I'm saying?
Additionally, unverified claims would surface alleging that Durk had actually ordered a hit on a woman speculated to be close to OTF Jam after suspecting Jam of being an informant. According to an interview between academics and Chicago reporter Trench's News, the mother of Jam's child actually contacted Durk after Jam was arrested, and Durk refused to pay his bond. An apparent threat was then made to Durk.
Get bonded out in. They don't know nothing about no white, but he did make a threat towards Durk, like, if you want to come in, you know what I'm talking about, how you gonna play somebody who be putting in work and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And they took it as a threat, and that he told us. I don't know how he got mixed in with the Quando Rondo, but yeah, they say he's...
I've been holding you down because I heard you say something about like his baby mama called Durk for a lawyer, and Durk may have like brushed it off, and they're like, yo, you're not supposed to brush off my call when I need something. Like, I'm the guy who does the dirt for you.
That's facts. And like, you got some real demons out there, like, you finna find me out, no matter what I did. Or you gonna come in with me. Sometimes you gotta make them threats, and jump off that couch and go snap down money.
According to news reports, on July the 19th, 2024, Octavia Redmond, a 48-year-old postal worker, had been brutally gunned down in broad daylight whilst delivering mail in Chicago's West Pullman neighborhood. A 15-year-old kid ran up to her in front of a house, shooting her 26 times, execution style, and she would die in the hospital.
Developing this morning, Chicago police have released surveillance video of a person of interest in the deadly shooting of a postal worker.
The shooting happened last month in the West Pullman neighborhood. Mugo Odigwe is live in the newsroom this morning with a look at that new video. So, Mugo, what does it show?
She could have been involved something. I mean, we don't really know. I don't think nobody really is gonna go over there and saying knock off a postal worker. Something had to be involved. You know what I'm saying?
Well, first off, we know the U.S. Postal Inspection Service is already offering a $250,000 reward for information leading to an arrest and conviction in this case. And now, Chicago police are hoping the new video gets them closer to the killer. So here's that video on your screen. Part of it shows a man getting to a white Dodge Durango near 70th and Campbell. This is right before the shooting. Then at some point, the same video shows a man getting out of that Durango near 121st and Harvard. He runs across the street and out of view. Then he runs back to the car before it drives off. Police say on that day, Friday, July 19th, around 11:40 in the morning, 48-year-old postal worker Octavia Redmond was in front of a home near 121st and Harvard when a man walked up to her and shot her. She died at the hospital. The Dodge Durango used in the shooting was later found abandoned and torched in the middle of a field on South Holland Avenue. Now, anyone with information on this shooting is asked to call Area 2 detectives, or you can leave anonymous tips at cpdtip.com.
A $250,000 reward would be offered for any information leading to the arrest and conviction of the perpetrator, with an anonymous tip leading up to the arrest of the juvenile killer in Iowa.
Breaking news at this hour, a 15-year-old boy is charged with shooting and killing an on-duty U.S. Postal Service worker. He's accused of murdering 48-year-old Octavia Redmond on 121st at Harvard back in July. Chicago police officers and the U.S. Marshals Great Lakes Regional Fugitive Task Force took him into custody yesterday in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. The teen was extradited to Chicago and is set to appear in juvenile court sometime this morning. Detectives received an anonymous tip that helped identify the suspect.
This murder had been circulated with many headlines that suggested that this was OTF Jam's baby mother. However, a user on X would debunk these claims, alleging that Redmond had absolutely no connection or affiliation to OTF. Official reports and reputable news outlets have not since established any link between Redmond and OTF Jam, hence there's no credible evidence to support the assertion that they had any personal or familial ties. Some users, however, have still ran with this speculation, suggesting that the killing was somehow a targeted attack, with the shooter intentionally approaching her and mistaking her identity as the intended target, with some going even as far as to suggest that this was another hit sent from Durk that ended up killing an innocent bystander. I personally don't buy it. Now, it's important to note that the criminal complaint and indictment documents do not explicitly name Jam as an informant, though they do reference an unnamed individuals and key witnesses by their initials. This has even led to subreddits questioning whether or not it's really Jam who got Durk in the jam. And while I personally believe it's likely that Jam could be the informant, at this stage there's still no proven paperwork to confirm this, and there's really no way of knowing for sure until this goes to trial. In December 2024, OTF Jam would finally break his silence with a scathing social media post denying being the snitch in the case and accusing other OTF members of disloyalty and sloppy behavior, attracting the attention of law enforcement rather than him. Currently, Durk, Vonnie, Dee and Boogie are held at the Metropolitan Detention Center, or MDC, Los Angeles, awaiting trial. And since his arrest, the only thing we've heard from Durk is a phone call from jail that would suggest that despite his celebrity status, he turned down protective custody and is now navigating life behind bars in general population.
I said, I know you're rich, but if you need anything, you know I got you. I appreciate it. You know the start that count, yeah, hell yeah. I know how that shit be, but it don't matter, but we ain't never moved our money except for that first time. Once it was that, it was that. Once it was like then, it was everything was his. Yeah. You know, I feel that piece same. I came up here like, yeah, where you from? What you got going? I came to it, yeah. Man, what? The PC. Hey. I thought they thought a computer, you hear me? Hey, I respect your mom forever. The PC. A lot of them could be going straight to PC. But downstairs they be like, man, you know you, man, send me upstairs. Whatever it is, I gotta tap to it. Nah, for sure. Can't go no more. PC and come out acting all crazy.
While we still don't know how Durk The fact is, King Von was a ruthless killer, and Durk should have never brought him into his inner circle. If Von was still alive today, it's very possible that he would be serving life for the murder of FBG Duck, and him and Durk may well have even faced trial for that attempted murder in Atlanta. Ultimately, Von lost his life after sucker punching another gangster rapper and grossly underestimating the consequences. Von was completely in the wrong that night, and Durk was completely in the wrong for allegedly trying to kill Quando and taking the life of an innocent young black man in the process. The facade of All My Life, Durk pleading that his whole life people have been trying to take him down unfairly, day has fallen apart. And if Durk ends up getting convicted of this murder for hire, he has only himself to blame, and he can't say that the media or society unfairly portrayed him. In fact, if he really did this, in many ways, he truly set his people back. Even Quando himself said on October the 27th, in an apparent reference to Durk's case, he'd expressed sorrow about how everything had worked out. He didn't want to have these issues with Von that night. And I know it's not easy for me to say, having never lost—
Oh, you know what I mean? All this could have been, bro, all this could have been avoided. They all would, Durk, see what I mean, bro? This all could have been avoided, bro. This right here didn't—
the friend under these circumstances, but Durk really should have killed his enemies with success rather than bullets. He was already a bigger artist than Quando. He didn't need to keep dragging this beef, but ego and bravado ultimately blocked his blessing. To at least give him some grace, if you put yourself in Durk's shoes, you might well have done the same thing. I haven't lost over 30 people to the streets. Becoming rich and having all of that money and the people around to pay to have your ops killed must have been incredibly alluring. And despite King Von being in the wrong when it came to that fight with Quando, when it comes to the murder of his blood brother D-Thang, I can only imagine the burning desire for revenge. But then when you look at the cases of FBG Duck and FBG Cash, that was nothing more than senseless gang warfare. Now all of these men's children have to grow up without their fathers around and their mothers without their sons. And that goes for Lil Durk too. If he winds up doing life in prison for these murders, he, just like his own father, robbed his children of a priceless relationship. And perhaps that's part of the problem with this cycle of violence. Young men growing up without the right guidance or leadership to put them on the righteous path has led many to commit crimes that might not have otherwise happened. The problem with this is that Durk was really a two-faced example, flip-flopping between his persona of the voice and pushing a positive message for the youth trying to be a role model, but then in the same album, as that role model, with the ears of the youth open to him, he then took on his evil twin persona, pushing the violence, mocking the victims, and teaching the youth that murder and revenge is cool. All of this made Durk an incredible artist, but a flawed man. Durk ultimately isn't the role model that people thought he was, and that's the biggest tragedy here. So if I can end this video with one message, it's that there's nothing cool about taking lives. Nothing cool about spending your whole life looking over your shoulder, and nothing cool about spending decades in prison away from your friends and family. No amount of praying can protect you from judgment. So if you're a young person in a difficult position with hard choices to make, you ultimately should look at Durk as a shining example of what not to do. He seemingly made terrible choices and may well end up paying the ultimate price. It's truly heartbreaking to see what was supposed to be a shining example of getting out of the streets and doing something positive with your life wind up being shattered. At the end of the day, we need a lot more J Mains and a lot less Lil Durks so that the next generation can put the guns down, stop the violence, and really push some peace. I hope you found that video interesting. Thank you for your time, and once again, rest in peace to everybody who lost their lives.
Alright, man. That was a good documentary, man. Shout out to Trap Lord Ross for this beautiful documentary, y'all. The original link will be down below in the description. We are done with this documentary / series. We are done with it. I think the last part is part 6. Appreciate everybody for watching, man. I'll see you guys until the next video, man. We out.